It's been 2 years since I started the project, and you can see that since my last recording I kind of got into taking the thing apart. The section here I cut out and got it ready for the next welding job. First thing I got to do though is I wasn't able to cut the inner one completely out, so I cut like that along here, and then the inner fits in there. I took out all the little weld spots. I took the quarter panel off, getting that ready to go. Discovered way too much rust in here. I'm going to have to replace that. This section in here I'll have to completely replace, and down in here I'll have to replace, and inside here I'm going to have to replace. Once I took the fender off, I straightened some of it, but I've got a little section that I'm going to put back in there. I took the door off. I'm going to inspect that. The door was in good shape. There was only a little bit of rust on the top part, and don't think that's going to be a problem. This is the section that I have to weld on to the part of the fender that fits right there. You can see that it matches that. And once I get that welded together, I'll put it back on the car. And once I got started taking the body parts off, I just kept going, and I've got clear over here. And next thing to go as far as body is concerned, I'm going to take that other fender off. I've got a lot of welding and work on it I need to do, but before I get to that, I'm going to drop down the shocks and replace all that shock absorber mechanism, and then all the rubber in here. I need to replace all that. I've got the new neoprene pieces for that. I'll be able to replace that as well. I also have the neoprene replacement pieces for that too. I'm going to take that all off, paint it up after I get rid of all the rust, and then we'll take the struts out, replace that, and put those back all completely redone. I'm going to sand them and paint them. First thing I've got to do is disassemble the brake line here, take that off. I've got new rubber for that because I didn't think those looked very good. They've got cracks in them, and I think I better replace that. I want to be able to stop. Put blaster on everything. Make sure that I can get that off of there without a whole lot of trouble. I'm going to have to do that with all the different nuts and bolts that are on here, so that it makes it a little easier to remove. So an afternoon's worth of work, and all I've gotten disconnected is what you can see here. And I don't know how much harder it's going to get, but I got to get that thing off of there. After fighting with it all afternoon here, I've got it completely disconnected. The only thing that is holding it on now is the bolts from up above here. I'm going to take those off and then remove that strut. With all the other stuff taken away, we can now work on this. You can see I already chopped a bunch of it out of there. And now I gotta cut a piece of metal to fit that, and I'll be able to practice on that because I don't care what it looks like. I cut this up, and I have the panel down at Frank's, and we're gonna make a panel to fit in there, and I'll be able to weld that up as well, and more practice. So Frank lent me some spring compressors. I'll be able to compress these down and take that nut out of there, and then release the strut. Last time I did this, it was still on the car, and I just had it kind of leaned out. This is much easier this way. So I had to put this back on the car and bolt it back up a little bit. Just snug it down a little with your finger tight, and then that way I can get the inner bolt on the strut loose. Well, that worked pretty good. We got the thing completely disassembled. The only thing I need to do is loosen the nut that holds the strut in there. There's a thing inside that's called the bump rubber, and it completely disintegrated. Most of the other stuff is okay. I'm just going to have to order some new bump rubber. Having removed the front suspension members, I'm starting to work on the rear now. Had to beat the crap out of this, put a lot of blaster on it, and then hit it on either side here like that. Pop that loose so that we could get that off. I took the shoes off, and then I called the company that supplies the parts, and they said, well, we don't have original hubs, and we don't have the parts for the brake shoes and stuff, so best thing to do would be to convert this to a disc brake. I bought this tool here, and the spindle, which is up in there, is really hard to remove. And I thought, well, what the heck, it's going to be a while before I do that. So I punched out the pin. The pin is right here. And the pin came out, and that surprised me. It came out relatively easy. I just had to hit it with the hammer and a punch, and it punched right out. So I thought, well, I'll give this a try and see if the tool is working. And sure enough, it's pulling that pin through there. So we reached the end here, and it's loose. Now I just pull that out, and we now have the pin. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. I thought it was going to be all rusty, but it's not bad. After removing that pin from over here, and the shoes and everything else on the backing plate here, I ordered the I ordered the rim for the disc brake, and I'm going to convert this to a disc brake in the back. But in order to do that, I have to take this backing plate off so that I can replace the backing plate with the caliper portion of the disc brakes. So I'm cutting it in half. but I have to be really careful that I don't cut into the actual hub. So I can only go so far on either side. I'm going to cut halfway here and halfway down here, and then I'm going to have to figure out another way to do it. I'm going to try the Fordham with the little tiny blade, little tiny diamond blade, and see if that'll work. Otherwise, it could be just with a hacksaw. Who knows? So I've got my little Fordham here with a diamond blade in it, circular diamond blade, and it's not meant for this at all, I don't think, but I'm going to give it a try. We'll see. Well, that'll take about 2 years, so I'm going to use this as far as I can go. So when I was 14, my grandfather got me this set of Dremel tools, and that is one of the heads that I've actually only used once or twice before, and it seems to be working. So I've gotten far enough through that I can just bend it back and forth. There we go. Now that the bottom part is all loose, I've got to loosen these nuts here. Since the strut is in the middle there, and loosening that completely would make the spring explode, I can at least loosen it. Maybe. There. Well, now the theory is I can kind of lower this using the jack. Wow, that worked good. And there it is. Once I got started removing all the parts for the suspension, I decided I might as well remove the axles and clean up everything. The thing that really helped preserve most of the undercarriage here was the undercoating that John Von Tilius put on there, and you can see that it's in this thick black stuff that's almost impossible to get off of there. And I found that if I use this wire brush that's on this side grinder, I was able to remove and really get down to the metal on that. Once I have that removed and nice and clean, I'm going to put truck bed coating on that, and it'll keep that from rusting again. So I'm down here at Frank's shop, and he's got every toy you could ever imagine. In fact, he's probably got 2 of everything, sometimes 3. And I'm over here at his sandblasting booth, where I've been for a week or 2.